You're right, guys. Shay here. Uneven bounce up, you guys as well. So 1 week in Test cricket makes a lot of difference, as we can see. This time last week, me and Lucy were jumping up and down on the sofas and celebrating a fantastic victory in the first Test, this 4-Test match series. And a week later, we are licking our wounds. A horrible loss, an absolute trouncing of England by 317 runs in the second Test as we head to Ahmedabad in the third. But also need to dissect this second Test. I've got with me, obviously mentioned before, Lucy, I've got Anurag, I've got Aditya, and I've got Krishna, and I've got Sayan as well. Let's jump in a second. We may have another guest as well coming on, but this is the panel today. How are you all doing?
Very good, man.
Great, man.
Soaking in the glory of the victory.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that we didn't do it on the same day, because the adrenaline must be flowing through, especially Krishna's veins, just to get back at us after last week. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite happy we let it simmer for a little while, everyone cool down, take a shower, and then let's get back on it today. So yeah. But anyway, we'll start at the top. Obviously, India batted first. Now we can't really discuss this whole Test without mentioning some kind of a few comments regarding the pitch. Aditya, I know he's a very level-headed guy. Will approach it in a fair manner. What was your thoughts, Aditya? Obviously, there was a lot of kind of comments online, as we know, a lot of furor from English fans. I think Michael Vaughan came out heavily critical of this pitch. What were your thoughts in a match that went deep into the fourth day?
Well, in the lead up to the game, it was expected that this was going to be a ranked turner. But it wasn't the sort of dust bowl that we've seen previously in cities like Nagpur, for example. I thought this pitch it had that balance between bat and ball, but I suppose it required a little more application compared to what the first game required of batsmen. I know Michael Vaughan was critical of the pitch, but if you look at how the game ended on the fourth day, England had not batted a lot in the first or the second innings. Had they added, I guess, 150 runs in both innings, the game would have gone on into the fifth day. So I don't think the pitch was challenging, but I don't think it was impossible.
Krishna, would you concur with that?
I guess so. At least it didn't seem. I think the whole Michael Vaughan comments thing, I think that's obviously Michael Vaughan just being Michael Vaughan, but I think with respect to the pitch, India showed the way to bat on it. And by the way, we had a Test match there, the first Test match, in which England did well. Yes, the pitch was a little bit different there, but still, I feel that England, at least when you come to India, you come with the anticipation of playing on turners. At least you have to be prepared for that as batsmen. And I don't think it's fair to say the pitch was not working well, that's why we lost. I mean that's just not an excuse. You play cricket everywhere, you win, lose, on all kinds of pitches. So, and you have to adapt. That really shows your batting skills. And yeah, I think the pitch was fair in my opinion. I don't know about this whole World Test Championship 3 points docking thing, but at least in my opinion, the pitch was fine.
Lucy, you think maybe it was a case of sour grapes on behalf of England? Obviously, we'd done so well in the first Test. We turned up and we get a pretty much a ragger from day one, from ball one, pretty much. But the reality is, obviously, India made over 600 runs in a Test match, and we made, I think, around 290, less than 300. And that was a reality situation there. So I think it's important to mention. And it wasn't like it was a 2.5-day Test match, which we've seen in England, by the way. We have seen it in England before. It was a match that went to the fourth day. When you saw the pitch on that first day, Lucy, did you feel like maybe there was too much of an emphasis on spin bowling and maybe too much in favour of the home team?
Yeah, I think so. I remember seeing it and I was a bit like, "Ooh, we're going to need our spinners." And then I was like looking at the India team like, "Oh, they've come prepared." And then obviously that happened. So yeah.
And Sign, obviously we was head to you. I'm sure if you're stuck there. Sign might be stuck. Anurag, so I'll go to you, mate. I mean, what was your analysis, just quickly to round this off, on the pitch? Do you feel like maybe there was, I won't say ill play here, effect. Ultimately, every home team, listen, England would probably paint it green when it comes to India touring over in a few months' time. Do you think it's kind of normal for a home team to kind of adjust the strip to the home team's strengths?
Well, adding to what Aditya and Krishna have said, the pitch was quite good for the batsman as well. It was not a raging turner, or it didn't spit venom every ball, but it was good for batting as well. I felt only in the first session there was a little bit of dampness, that's where Moeen Ali and Jack Leach had a little bit of bite. That is where you see the wickets of Virat Kohli literally bowled through the gate. So after that, the pitch kind of settled down and it allowed the Indian batsmen to score freely. You see 300 runs scoring on a day one pitch, which was turning, which had bounce, which had spin. So I think it had everything for batsmen and as well as for the bowlers as well. So
no, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, for the home team to play on such good pitches, which offer both for the batsmen and the bowlers, I think it was a pretty good one for the home team.
I mean, I think you. Sorry, Christian, you go ahead, mate.
No, I just want to add here. I mean, how could England not expect a pitch that was going to be turning after the first Test match? They expected India to bounce back with every resource they had, right? So I mean, they should have been prepared for it. I think this was just I think anybody, any person with even an ounce of a cricketing brain would have seen that this pitch was going to be a turner. Maybe not a raging turner, but at least it would be tough to bat on in terms of facing spin bowling. So I just found the criticism a little like you said, sour grapes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think I think you said you got to play to your strengths. Ultimately, the World Test Championship on the line here, especially with India coming from. But anyway, Anurag mentioned about obviously the score on day one. Now, obviously, very much due in part to Rohit Sharma's incredible 161. And I think obviously, if you look back in the Test match now, we only see how good that knock was. I mean, no one got close. I know Ashwin made 106, but the reality was when he came into bat, there was obviously a bit of a top order collapse, but the reality was India were 300 ahead. They could have declared before Ashwin walked in and he still would have won the match. So, but obviously the pressure is on Rohit Sharma. I want to talk about him a little bit more actually, because there's no real mention of him in terms of man the match kind of accolades, and I felt that was a little bit unfair. A friend of mine was saying this as well. We're discussing after the match that he did so well at 161, first up. And I looked at, I know obviously there's been some conversation about his stats home and away. He's struggled to kind of stay in the team and really reinforce his place in that side. And the reality was he's averaging over 80 at home, but just 27 away from home. He's played actually more innings away from home than at home. This innings could this be the turning point of Rohit Sharma's career? He's 34 years old now, or he's going to be 34 this year. He's obviously getting into his mid-30s now. He's established himself as one of the best white ball players in the world. There's no doubt in that. Has he got the game to adapt, to perform, would you say, overseas? He's cracked, obviously, the home conditions. We've seen that time and time again, as I mentioned before. But can he now translate that form overseas? I'll head to you, Aditya. I want to go to Sayan, but I think he's got issues with his streaming. So, Aditya, I'll start with you.
100%. Does he have the game to succeed overseas in Test cricket? Absolutely. As Nasser Hussain once said, that if Rohit Sharma is not a Test cricketer, then I'm watching a different game. So I agree with those words. But what's happened to Rohit Sharma is that he's also been at the receiving end of some poor luck and some poor selection strategy. Back in 2017, for example, I think he scored a double 100 against Sri Lankan white ball cricket, and then he had replaced Ajinkya Rahane against South Africa in the Test series. Now, he got 2 Test matches in that series. He didn't perform well in those 2 tests. He was replaced by Ajinkya Rahane in the 3rd Test. So I think that chopping and changing has affected him, his batting, and he was in the middle order at the time. And when he finally got his turn at the top of the order, he was injured for the New Zealand tour, and then he only got 2 Test matches in the Australia tour, and that was also as part of a bye bubble. So I think he hasn't really had. I think everyone needs a certain volume of cricket to succeed when they've got the game. And I don't think he's had that volume of cricket under his belt. We can say that he made that 161, that was brilliant. But before that 161, he's had 3 Test matches, to really get in the groove, which he hasn't had previously. So I feel for him. I think he's been a bit unlucky, but I have no doubt that in tours to England and South Africa, he can definitely make hundreds for sure.
Okay. Sign, I'm going to come to you. You're flickering a little bit, so I'm going to take that as a good sign and try and get you involved here. Sign, can you hear me there? Try. Yeah, Sign, if you're there, can you just give me some thoughts as well? And just following from what Aditya says, do you feel that Rohit Sharma now has the game to adapt and score runs consistently overseas? I think Sign's stuck, unfortunately, again. Krishna, I'll just redirect the question to you, if that's okay.
Yeah. I think with Rohit Sharma, it's a very interesting discussion because Rohit Sharma does so well at home. He does so well, exceedingly well. He averages 83 or something at home, right? But when he goes away from home in Test cricket, especially, he averages something like 15 or something or 14.
I think it's 27.
27. Okay, I read,
Yeah.
or maybe it's 15 in Australia or something. I don't know. I don't remember the exact numbers, but yeah, the difference between the averages is insane. I think when it comes to Rohit Sharma as a Test batsman, see, the thing is, there's two different cases in which this discussion can be carried out, right? It's post him opening and pre him opening, right? So the thing is, as an opener in Test cricket, like Aditya said, he hasn't had that many chances to open abroad in Test cricket, which has not necessarily, I mean, which we can't blame him for. And I think we'll get to know the strength of Rohit Sharma as an opening Test batsman as we play him in England and South Africa. But for the moment, of course, you have to stick with him. But I guess we don't really know if he's solidified it, because again, his position, if he starts performing badly, could go to somebody like a Mayank Agarwal, who also has not had a very bad run, barring one or two Test matches. So Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Mayank Agarwal, they're all yes, they are good solid Test openers, but I don't think any one of them has really confirmed their spot. They're all they are the top three contenders, but they've not really confirmed their spot. So we don't really know who's going to open the batting come the first Test in England and elsewhere.
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, he's batted the majority of his innings actually at number 6, as I'm sure Anurag knows as well. So it'd be interesting. I think obviously from what I've saw over the past, say, 6 to 12 months, let's say it's from the New Zealand tour, India do have problems, I think, at the top of the order. Not massive problems, but obviously Gill failed twice in this Test match. He did obviously well, he acquitted himself well in Australia. I think they're going to invest in him for the long term, personally. Pretty sure will come back. I'm sure he's young enough to come back. Agarwal's there, Rohit Sharma's there. I mean, I guess I think when you have such a maybe question marks over your top two, then it's either you go with the experienced head, someone who's obviously done it in the white ball cricket consistently, done fantastically well, and hope he can translate his game, or you simply go with the two youngsters and invest time in them. That's what I think probably will down to Indian management. I mean, Anurag, which way would you go? Would you give me Rohit Sharma the year? Obviously, you've got 5 Test matches in England against a swinging ball. It will really test his technique. And I think will probably be, if he has, let's say, a Paul series in India, that might be the end of the kind of Rohit Sharma at top of the order, because you can't just, unless you can't just bring him out, you can't wheel him out for India Test matches, can you, at home? You have to play him, obviously. I don't believe in this kind of horse for course when it comes to batting. I think it should be able to play in all surfaces. But which way would you go with it, Anurag?
Yeah, so Shay, let me go back a few years, probably around 2014 or 15. It was an IPL match, CSK against Mumbai Indians, where CSK, is heavily reliant on their spin bowlers. But when Rohit was batting, MS Dhoni actually did not bowl a single over to him. And in the post-match conference, when he was asked this question, he said, Rohit is a brilliant player of spin. I won't be bowling any kind of overs to him with any spinner. So if you see the kind of innings he had played in the second Test match, he's expected to do it. That is batting of the highest quality during raging turners or pitches which assist great spin. So when it comes to preferring him in the overseas Test match, probably I'll prefer Mayank Agarwal, because wherever in the overseas conditions the ball is going to swing, and if someone's going to fail, let me at least have a bet on my youngsters rather than an experienced Rohit Sharma who's around 33, 34. So let him play in the middle order, have my youngsters take the charge at the top order, and probably I'll have a settled Indian batting order.
No, thank you, Alec. Now, one of the bowlers, obviously, that he had to contend with during the first innings in particular was Ollie Stone. Obviously, hadn't played for 18 months, somewhat of a gap since the Ireland Test match. There's been a lot of talk about Ollie Stone for a long time. He's been a 12th man for so many times I can't remember anymore. He seems to be always carrying the drinks, but he's got his opportunity now. Obviously, he was there in Sri Lanka, didn't get a go, but bowled very well. He took 3 for 47, and for me, was the best seamer on both sides. Both teams, I felt he could sell very well. He bowled with not Syrian pace, and the wicket wasn't allowed for that anyway, but he bowled with good control, good lengths. I thought he bowled tightly, and he was certainly a threat that first innings. Lucy, I'll come to you. What was your thoughts on Ollie Stone in this match?
Yeah, I actually stood a bit with Aaron Viles. I loved him. I thought he was really good. I thought it's what England have been missing, kind of. But yeah, it was nice to see him play, and I think he's a bit of a dark horse, really, because nobody really knows a lot about him, really, and then he comes on the pitch and everyone's like, oh, why aren't we picking him more often and stuff? So
it'd be interesting to see, isn't it? Because obviously England have now they've got obviously Wood, Archer, and Ollie Stone who can all bowl around 150 kilometers per hour. Obviously, going to the Australia Test Series at the end of the year, they'll want to make sure those three are on that plane. Do you think maybe obviously Ollie Stone with a couple more performances? I'll go back to you, Lucy, with this one. Do you think? I mean, Mark Wood obviously is very much a trier. He's done well in white ball cricket. He's never seemed to really click though in red ball. Obviously, he's been plagued by injuries, as has Ollie Stone, to be fair. But do you think maybe Ollie Stone, his performance in that kind of wicket, maybe has potentially overtaken Maltwood? Maltwood obviously comes back to the squad for the next 2 Test matches. But do you think that maybe Ollie Stone now can put his hand up and say, actually, I could be the next kind of speedster, if you will, behind Jofra Archer?
Yeah, so I think looking at what he's done already, I think England would be like, oh, we leave him in the team. And I think he's going to get more experience, and then hopefully he'll be on the plane to Australia.
Okay. Aditya, I'm going to come to you at this point. A friend of mine, I can't really say this myself, it's not, was mentioning about the makeup of England's bowling attack. Obviously, a lot been said about the chopping and changing, not too much detail now about that. But obviously, 75% of the bowling attack was changed from the first test. There was an argument to say that Stuart Broad and Ollie Stone both shouldn't have played. It would have taken a very bold decision not to play Stuart Broad. Was there a case potentially for a Chris Woakes on this wicket? Because Broad at wicketless, he was pretty ineffective, what I saw in both innings. Maybe you needed some more a kiss the pitch type of bowler in a Chris Woakes instead of Stuart Broad, because I felt that when Stuart Broad and Ollie Stone were bowling there, I was seeing very similar kind of lengths, not necessarily speed, but a similar type of bowler on that wicket. Could there have been an argument for Chris Woakes to have come in instead of Stuart Broad?
It's difficult to say, and again, now we've got the benefit of hindsight wisdom, so we can say that Broad was not as effective as he should have been, but he's also the experienced campaigner, and we've seen that when you leave Broad out, typically in the next Test match he performs well. The West Indies series is an example of that. As for Ollie Stone, I think Ollie Stone had to play because Archer was injured, and I think they needed someone on this wicket who could really bowl some serious pace. And I think Ollie Stone needs to be given more games simply because the Kookaburra Bowl and Australia's pitches have typically been nemesis for England's bowlers, and they haven't really been as effective as they normally are in England conditions. So having Ollie Stone confident, fit, and ready to go with some clear game plans will definitely help them in the long run when they play the Ashes in Australia. As for Broad, look, I know he went wicketless and he wasn't as effective as he should have been, but there's nothing to say that Chris Woakes would have taken Pfeiffer. It's there's no guarantee. So I wouldn't be too critical there. But I think if there was any knock on England's performance, I think it had to be with the batting. It wasn't really bowling that to me should be the subject of criticism.
Thank you, Aditya. So it looks like finally you've got a reasonable stream there, because that fan is whirring consistently rather than stop every 3 seconds. So I'm going to go to you and ask really your thoughts on Axar Patel. Obviously made his debut, long way to debut in my opinion, in the Test side. I think he would play the first Test anyway. He obviously took 5 of 60 in that second innings to bowl England out on that fourth day. What were your thoughts really on Axar Patel, Sion? And do you feel there's a future for him in that lower middle order as a spinning all-rounder?
Yeah, I feel that the length he bowled was really well, and I think he was the only bowler who troubled Joe Root a bit in both of the test matches, to be honest. And like on debut taking a 8 for, I guess, if I'm not wrong, it's quite a remarkable thing. And for future, I guess, as long as Jadeja is there, I think he won't have a place right now in the team. But well, of course, in the future when Jadeja once retires, he will, I think, will have a future if he continues his form.
I think it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine made me laugh. He was saying to me that the ball he got Joe Root out was almost like a bouncer from Jofra Archer, the way he spat up in that second innings. It was it was obviously it was hard to play on there. But I mean, listen, I think the speed that he bowled at, in my opinion, Axar Patel, he adjusted quickly to that pitch. I think he was absolutely perfectly suited for that wicket. For where he bowled. Now, I'll just finish. I think Axar Patel deserves a reasonable mention. So, Krishna, I'll go to you. What was your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think Sion's touched upon the fact that Jadeja's there and there's similar kind of? I would rank Jadeja as a better batsman at the moment for sure. Axar Patel is 4 years younger than Jadeja. Jadeja had some injuries as well, as you know, over the past couple of years. Do you see a future where Axar Patel is ahead of the pecking order than Jadeja?
See, I mean, I think for the moment, at least for the time being, you can't. Axar, he's played his first Test match, right? Let's be honest. He's done very, very, very well. Also, with I think you have to look at it in terms of, at least I like looking at these selections in terms of a bigger picture as opposed to just a one-time thing. So when I'm looking at selections right now, I'm looking at who's going to be playing, who's going to be on that plane to England, assuming we make it to the World Test Championship final, who's going to be the third spinner, who's going to be the second and third spinner, assuming Ashwin obviously is your first spinner, right? Sorry, I'm getting some notification. Let me just silence that. So yeah, you basically need to figure out who your second and third spinners is. Once Jadeja comes back, there's no doubt. I mean, he's one of the best all-rounders in the world today, right? He has to be there. Just his fielding alone makes it into the team, irrespective of whether he bats and bowls also, right? His fielding alone helps him make it to the team in a team that doesn't field that well. So Jadeja has to play. Ashwin, of course, will play. Now, the third spinner, right? You have Sundar, you have Nadeem, you have Kuldeep, and you have Axar. You have 4 options at the moment.
Plus Ashwin, Jadeja. We've got Best Leach and Moeen, Lucy.
Right.
And these guys really enough players that walk into bloody hell, man.
So for a third spinner, you have 4 options. Now, who is it that you want to take on that plane to England? Do you want to take Kuldeep in terms of a mystery spin? Do you want to take Axar as a backup Jadeja? Do you want to take Nadeem, also plays pretty much the same role but doesn't bat as well? Do you want to take a Sundar who is competing with Axar for that backup Jadeja spot at the moment? So I think India will definitely think about those options, and I think at the moment the front runner, in my opinion, would probably be Kuldeep because he's just spent that much more time with the team, and I think he would be the best. I think if you wanted some variety in England, in which in a place where you're not going to use that many spinners, but assuming you get a situation like you had in Australia where you lost like almost half a squad, I would rather probably play a Kuldeep in there, just to have that variety. But if there's a place for a fourth spinner, I think then it's between Sundar and Axar. So we'll have to see who gets that.
I think there's a strong argument to say that India's fourth choice spinner is better than our first, which just kind of shows what we're up against on this tour, Lucy, isn't it? Really. I'll head actually just to the next point and go back to England actually. So I want to discuss Ben Foakes. I did a quick Instagram video, so I feel this guy's been messed around quite a bit over the last 2 years. I think if his name was Josh Butler, he probably wouldn't have been out the side. But anyway, he kept superbly. As did Rishabh Pant. I must keep going back to that because I know it's called people I'm looking at. Did it want Rishabh Pant in his test side? But listen, your joke aside, I think Pant did very well. But Ben Foakes kept very well. And he also was top scorer in the first innings with 42, not out, out of 134. He was excellent. Do you think, Lucy, I'll head to you for this one. Do you think that Ben Foakes should the English management really try and forge a way to keep this guy in the side? Or do you feel like maybe his batting because the one criticism a little bit against him is that I don't feel he has that acceleration in his game where, say, Josh Butler or Johnny Bairstow does with the gloves at 7. And you need that if you're batting with a tail, that ability to change gears quickly. And I don't know if Ben Fox has that in the locker currently. He just turned 28. He can still develop that side of his game. But he's not much younger, really, than Bairstow and Butler, So, but what would you do with him? Do you feel it's just a case of him as a horse for courses? He'll always be on the sidelines until one of these guys maybe completely falls out of form or retires in terms of Bairstow and Butler? Or do you think that he's good enough? And obviously, being such the best keeper in the country, does he deserve a consistent spot in that side?
I'm actually a massive Ben Foakes fan, and I have been since his debut. Obviously, he scored a 10 on debut in Sri Lanka, wasn't it? And I think he's
and the series.
Yeah, I think he's exceptional behind the stumps. And I think Joss is actually slipping a bit. So when we played our test matches in lockdown last year, I noticed there was a few little slip-ups that Joss was making. I thought, no, he's becoming more of a white ball keeper. So I would have Ben Foakes probably as number 1 for tests. But I've also noticed as well that a lot of journalists and just fans have took to Twitter and Facebook and everything, and just saying, oh, why have we picked him? He can't bat. But then we all watched him bat, and obviously, as I said, he scored 100 before, and we watched him in this test, so I don't see the problem.
Anurag, I'll hit to you, get your opinion in your perspective. To me, there's a lot of parallels drawn here between Foakes and Vitamin Saha. Where you'd say he's the best keeper, he's a reasonable batsman, and you've got Josh Butler, you could compare with Rishabh Pant, who's an explosive batsman at 6 or 7. And it maybe is because Butler's got better as a keeper. Yes, I agree with Lucy, but he's kept very well in that first test and the test in Sri Lanka. So he's obviously improving, working hard in his game. What would you do, Anurag, in this case here? Because I do find parallels between the Saha Pant conundrum with the Foakes and Butler question.
Yeah, definitely, Shay. So I'll have to agree with Lucy on how Foakes' keeping is top-notch. England management would have to see on how they rotate Bairstow and Joss Butler as specialist batsmen rather than keeper batsmen. So I'll emphasize on the fact to keep Ben Foakes as my test keeper and try to rotate Bairstow and Butler. And if you see the parallels when compared with Wriddhiman Saha and Ben Foakes, it is the same because as a selector, I would prefer my keeper to do his keeping duties first rather than be a better batsman. So if I was a selector, I'd definitely go with a Saha and a Foakes in my test team and have Rishabh Pant and Joss Butler as specialist batsmen.
So by process of elimination there, I remembered now who didn't want Rishabh Pant in the first test lineup. So I remember now, Anurag. So go ahead there. Krishna, I'll just finalize it with you. What's your opinion on this matter?
Okay, well, here's the thing, right? Ben Foakes, I mean, I was actually one of the people on your show, or the first show to bring up Ben Foakes, even before we started the preview of the series. I don't know. I've sort of. I mean, I'm not convinced with Butler. England has given him 50 Test matches. He averages around 34, I think. But it's not like he's not really won you. Like he's not been a match winner with that average of 34. Yes, he's batting at 6-7, so that's a reasonably good average. But still, you expect a player of Joss Butler's caliber. If he's not doing as well with the gloves, he should be winning you games. But I don't know. Post Ben Stokes, that batting has Joss Butler's batting has supposed at least they've expected him to come in and be that cushion to sort of take away games. But I don't know. I'm not convinced with Joss Butler's batting prowess in Test cricket. ODI cricket and T20 cricket is a completely different story with Butler. But I think even if you're just looking at a package, if you're looking at trying to play a better player in terms of the balance, I think it's not a question of who's the better keeper or who's the better batsman. I think in terms of England's balance alone, I think Ben Foakes is more suited because they're looking for a kind of batsman who can, hold the ship when things kind of, are not going that well. Like post Ben Stokes' wicket, post Root wicket, somebody at 6-7, just to sort of steady things. Because you have Woakes and Ali at 7, you have guys like Archer also who can slog the ball a bit. So I think they just need somebody just to hold fort at 6 and 7. And Ben Foakes, at least from this Test match, even though he made 42 or something in the first innings,
top score,
yeah. I mean, it was a good looking 42. Don't get me wrong. And I think in terms of if you're comparing him to Saha, I think he's a way better batsman than Saha, in my opinion, at least. So I don't know. I think in terms of the package alone, irrespective of whether he's a batsman or a better batsman or a better keeper, Ben Foakes is more suited for the kind of cricket that England are trying to play.
Thanks to Krishna. Well, somebody who doesn't have his place questioned aside is man the moment, man the match, Ravichandran Ashwin. It was absolutely phenomenal in the Test match. We know 8 wickets. I was really hoping we get 10. I think we're the third person in history to score 110 wickets in the match, or fourth person in history. But he took 8 wickets in the match, 106 in the second innings. Incredible. So this is fanboy time for the 4 guys. And maybe you as well, Lucy. Maybe you want to kind of credit him as well. I'll start with you, Aditya. I mean, I remember when he made the centuries, I think against West Indies. I think it was 2013. A lot of people then questioned that, well, saying that maybe Ravi Ashwin is the best all-rounder in the world. I actually looked at stats before obviously starting the show, and then his batting, it reads like this. So his batting at home, 1,435 runs at 29.9. Batting away from home is actually quite similar, and I thought there'd be a much bigger disparity, a bit like Rohit Sharma. It's not. He's averaging 26.47, obviously propped up by the 2 centuries against West Indies a few years ago. His bowling at home, 22.49, 271 wickets, and he's taken 123 wickets away from home, a respectable 31.19 away from home. So his stats overall are fantastic. Do you think now, see, this is the thing, obviously, I don't want to get too much washed with the whole one Test performance. Is there an argument, though, that Ravi Ashwin is now the best all-rounder in the world?
Ashwin is a phenomenal all-rounder. I don't know if he's, from an impact point of view, I don't know if he's the best all-rounder. I compare him to Ben Stokes, for example. I think it's very hard to match Ben Stokes' impact in home and foreign conditions. But I think Ashwin is close, definitely. But, we also have to sort of consider that in overseas conditions, where, wickets don't really support spin as much, it's more of a handicap. That's not his fault, because spin is his specialty. Whereas you look at Ben Stokes, on the other hand, if he's bowling in Cape Town, for example, that's his hunting ground. So he has a natural advantage there. So yeah, I don't know. I think with all rounders, I don't know if it's very. I don't think you can compare like a spin bowling all rounder versus a fast bowling all rounder.
That's a good point. I think that's a very good point. I think it's a very good point. Because I think unfortunately it's been labelled that he's pretty much just he doesn't bowl well away from home, which is a fallacy. Yeah. It's completely ridiculous. If you look into the stats, I think he doesn't bowl well away from home. It's bollocks. He does actually do well away from home, as I mentioned before. 31 away from home, averaging 31 and averaging 26 and a half with the bat. They're very fair stats, for
decent numbers,
for an Indian all-rounder, obviously playing at home. So, Sain, I'll head to you. I mean, what's your thoughts really on Ravi Ashwin's development as an all-round cricketer?
I think it was before the Australian tour that the experts were questioning, have we lost Ravi Ashwin, the batsman? But I think it was after that Sydney, was it? The draw? Yeah, it was Sydney, right?
Sydney,
innings, I think that reignited the spark of Ravi Ashwin, the batsman. I think that gave him a lot of confidence as a batsman. And there was always a question that Ravi Ashwin, the bowler outside India, I think he proved himself in the Australian series. So I think, there's a lot of development that has happened over the course of time for Ravi Ashwin, the all-rounder.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that his 200s against West Indies, just checked now, I wasn't sure, just confirm, his 200 against West Indies, he batted at 6. So very much a fully fledged rounder in that series with the 200s. Lucy, I'll head to you to obviously get an outside perspective. What are your views on Ravi Ashwin? Do you feel like I don't? It's quite convoluted, this really. I mean, what do you feel his standing in the game is? I mean, is this kind of just is he improving as a cricketer? I mean, he's 34 years old now. Do you feel he's getting better over time, or is this the kind of the peak of his powers that we're seeing at the moment?
No, I think he's getting better. Just like we see in Jimmy, really. I think he's phenomenal, honestly. Watching him in the tests was just amazing. And watching him in Australia as well. obviously, on the Tim Payne incident, but look where that came out. So yeah.
I think I'm not sure if you've seen his YouTube channel. It's a brilliant channel that is. And he's very, the reason why I'm bringing this up, he's very creative in his content, and when you listen to him speak, he's very intelligent. And I actually think one of the reasons why I admire Ashwin so much as a spin bowler, he seems to be always thinking as a cricketer. And I watch the English spin bowlers. I see Leach, Bess in particular, Moeen Ali. I'm not saying they don't have a plan, but I don't believe their brain is working as fast as Ashwin. I believe that he's constantly looking to work out the batsman who's in front of him. Whereas I feel at times that Leach and Bess and Moeen Ali just feel like just turn up, bowl on a length, a good line, and hope something will happen. Where I believe that Ashwin is constantly thinking how to get the batsman out, if that makes sense. He's really trying to bowl the ball and get a wicket with every ball. Where I believe with Leach, Bess, and Moeen, in terms of us English spinners, that we're looking to put the ball there, bowl it as well as we can, but there's no really like ingenious thought process in the bowling, in between balls. And I think Ashwin, the way I heard him speak, the way I see him bowl, the way his side spin, top spin, he varies length, the pace. I appreciate, obviously, this wicket was his home ground pretty much as of all the years CSK. I believe it's from Chennai as well. He also knows it inside out. But every time I've seen him bowl, I saw it in Australia multiple times, he looks to get this. That's why I really love watching this guy bowl. I mean, I think we all love watching pace bowlers the most. A ferocious fast bowling 150 clicks. There's not much more of an exhilarating sight than that. But you know what? A real architect, a spin ball architect with the ball, I think is a wonderful thing to behold. I mean, Anurag, would you agree with me? Do you think he's very much a thinking cricketer? I mean, is there an argument that he should really be the vice captain side?
Definitely, Shay. So if you look at his wicket-taking skill against Steven Smith in the Australian series, they were very well planned. It was way before the series where he had planned the dismissal of Steven Smith. He was even proving to the other people that it's not just the fast bowlers who can hunt and pick wickets and plan, but it is the spinners as well in Australian conditions. So it's a perfect example of how a good thinking cricketer he is. He's probably an engineer as well. That's why he's got that architect type of thinking. So with an asset like this, it's good for Indian cricket that there is someone in the team who's also thinking, who's also executing these plans simultaneously. So he's definitely a candidate for the captaincy as well, not just the vice captaincy.
Interesting. Krishna, I'll direct the same question directed at Lucy before. Do you feel we're seeing Ravi Ashwin now at 35 years old later this year at the peak of his powers, or is there still some improvement to be had in this game?
See, the thing is with Ravi Ashwin, at least he's you don't really know what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, but he's going to turn up. And that's one of the things that we love about Ravi Ashwin as Indian cricket fans, is that he just seems to find a way to sort of cement his place and just show you why he's India's best spinner. Even though he gets so much flack for a bunch of things, with respect to his monketing thing with Butler, somehow not getting wickets abroad. I think the question is, who does the captain really turn to when the chips are down? The one bowler that the captain always turns to in Test cricket, be it Dhoni or Kohli or Rahane, has always been Ravichandran Ashwin. Throughout the course of the last 10 years of his career, he has been the man that India's turned to pick up wickets. And I mean, Ravichandran Ashwin has also won 4 or 5 Man of the Series awards. I mean, there's so many I can't even count them. He's been just absolutely phenomenal. I actually want to go back. I just want to say one thing about your point on how Ashwin is a thinker of the game and how England really don't think about it. I actually read this article the other day where Jack Leach thought it was the end of his career after Rishabh Pant smacked him to bits and pieces all over in that first Test match in Chennai. And he genuinely thought that his career was over, and he was sort of a little depressed, and he didn't want to come back and bowl in the second Test match. And I'm not saying that's a wrong attitude to have, but it sort of shows the difference in thinking in terms of how to be resilient as a spinner, and how to come back, and how to show your artistry when the chips are down. At least Ashwin has gotten so much flack for a very long time, especially I remember in 2015, he was dropped for the first Test against Australia where they brought in Karan Sharma. That was horrendous blunder by the Indian cricket team.
Karen Sharma, my word.
Yeah, it was quite an outrageous blunder. And then India realized that we needed Ravichandran Ashwin on the store, because we weren't picking up wickets at all. We lost that series 2-0. We could have lost 4-0 also. But it just shows the sort of, I think the difference it's not just about resilience, but also the attitude. I think the attitude of Ashwin is very positive, and he always believes that he can come back and make a statement, even though it may not look like it on paper. He was smacked to bits and pieces by Joe Root also in that first test match. So he showed why he's India's best spinner and possibly the world's best spinner at the moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people up until the Australia-India series thought Nathan Lyon was the best off spinner. For me, I'll always pick Ravi Ashwin over Nathan Lyon personally. I respect Nathan Lyon. I just think Ravi Ashwin's a class above. Again, it's just that thinking mentality. I think the way he analysed the game, but I just think, he possesses such incredible skill sets. I think that's where Jack Leach against Matt for the first 7 overs, 79 runs that first test. I think deep down he knows he didn't really have the skill sets to go and to get pant out cheaply going forward, on that onslaught. Whereas Ashwin knows he has that skill with the ball, to kind of come back after getting mauled by anyone, really. I'll head actually to another spinner. I've mentioned before, but we can't really do this show without mentioning the pitch. I don't think we can do this show without at least talking a little bit about my favourite player, Moeen Ali. As we know, a lot has happened with him. He's taken 8 wickets of the match, a swashbuckling 43 off 18. Again, to coin my mate, dead runs. I totally agree. There were dead runs there. I think anyone kind of citing that as a quality innings needs to have the head examined, because the game was lost. I mean, he didn't even try to get back in his crease when he got stumped by Kuldeep. He didn't give a damn. It was just basically, when's the auction? On Thursday. Yeah, let me just show you what I can do before the auction hits. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking any of those runs as anything important. The game was dead. So, but that being said, I will give him credit, because I think it should credit you, because I've hammered it for the last 10 seconds, is that his second innings, he did improve a lot. The problem he had in the first innings, and granted not the ball for a while, he lacked control. Very similar to Dominic Best. Took wickets, but leaked. I think he was going over 5 and over at times, went up 4.4 and over in the end, coming the end of the first innings. So it was obviously an interesting game for him. He's ended up a highest wicket taker in the match, got 4 in both innings, and now he's going home. So I think first we'll just touch upon with a couple of people here about his performance. I think we'll start, Aditi, with you. Was you impressed with Moeen at all? And feel free to disagree with me. You'd be bat and ball, both maybe. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, Aditi.
He was excellent with the ball, but I don't think you can really blame him for doing what he did with the bat, because the top order really capitulated to the spin attack, the spin by trial that they had to endure with Ashwin bowling as well as he did, and then Axar Patel bowling as well as he did. So I don't think he really had. There was not a lot that he could do. Nothing, unless he made like 250 by himself. There was no way that his batting really would have influenced the game in any way. So yeah, I guess the 43 of 18 was a bonus. He was just out there to have some fun, swing it. He knew he was going home after. So yeah, he just enjoyed the party while it lasted. And I guess Kohli appreciated it after the game. He gave him a nice pat there, encouraged his fighting spirit. But yeah, it's fine. I think I don't really want to knock Moeen Ali too much on it.
I can leave that to me, DC. No worries. I can do for both of us. Don't worry. No problem. But no, joke aside, I mean, Tyne, we'll head to you. I mean, what was your thoughts on Moeen Ali? Obviously, he played a test match for over 18 months, comes back to the side, acquits himself well in the second innings. Let's say if you're an England fan right now, Tyne, are you disappointed that he's going home?
Yeah, of course I'm disappointed, because he's your highest wicket taker, and how can you just go back home, right? And what Joe Root, I think, said in the interview is that he has chosen to go back home, but then Chris Silverwood clarified today that it was worded wrongly or something. I think the rotation policy is somehow hurting England a bit. because how can you just let someone who has taken wickets go away like that? And he showed you with the bat what he can do, right? So it's got to hurt England in the next match.
Lucy, what do you think about this whole debacle? Obviously, he's been hung out to dry a little bit, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on this matter?
Yeah, I thought he was, as Aditya said, exceptional with the ball. But yeah, we're a bit in the dark really about what is actually going on with the whole reason why he's going home and the cover up and everything from Silverwood. So I don't know.
Anurag, I know you're a massive fan of Moeen Ali, so you can defend him now. I've been waiting, chomping the bit, frothing at the mouth to hear me like obliterating this guy. So feel free. The mic is yours, mate. What's your thoughts on Moeen Ali's performance and his treatment post match?
Yeah, so firstly, I'm quite shocked that in a panel of 6, I'm the only Moeen Ali fan, as he's a great utility cricketer. But yeah, on a serious note, the guy has been through the COVID phase. He didn't play the entire Sri Lankan series. Then he comes back, proves his fitness, plays the England series, does not play the first match, gets picked in the second match in place of Dombes, does whatever he can. He picks wickets just like Dombes, concedes runs just like Dombes, and scores a quick fire 40 plus in the second innings. I mean, on a lighter note, with the auction coming up, probably he was showing his prowess, striking at probably 150 plus, 3 sixes in an over, and he's expecting CSK to pick him as well. So, yeah, he's done whatever he could, and people still criticize him. And I'm not sure what happened in the England dressing room, and I'm really confused. Like he's taken the most number of wickets in the second Test match, and he's still being shown the door. I think it is the end of line for his Test career, and he'll have to concentrate on white ball cricket.
Krishna, obviously, it came out, obviously, the last 24 hours that Moeen Ali was always scheduled to go home. What was funny enough, that this was not revealed. It was everyone else was scheduled. We knew what was happening. Bairstow was missing the first 2 tests along with Wood. Butler was going home after the first test. Folks going to play the 3 tests. My understanding was, unless you guys correct me if I'm wrong, it was not public information that Moeen Ali was scheduled to go home after the first 2 test matches. We only found out afterwards. What are your thoughts, Christian, on this whole situation surrounding Ed Smith, Joe Root, and Chris Silverwood? They've backtracked here. They've gone to damage limitation mode. They wheeled out Chris Silverwood today because of what Joe Root's done yesterday. Very poor treatment, in my opinion, of this guy. But what are your thoughts, Krishna?
You know, I just don't understand. I don't understand what is England trying to do. You know, they had Archer and Anderson in the first test, and then now they're not there. I mean, Archer at least had sort of an injury, but I just don't understand what is England's planning, because the squad rotation, while it may seem hunky dory on paper, is not necessarily what's going to win you Test matches. You need to have players in rhythm, in the motion. England has changed their entire, almost, like, I think they've changed almost their entire bowling attack for that second Test match, and you see what happens, right? But I think with respect to Moeen Ali, of course, it's not like Lucy said, we're sort of being kept in the dark about it. And I mean, it sort of reminds me of the whole Rohit Sharma situation with Australia back in October. About, is he going to play the tests? Why is he not playing the limited overs leg? So yeah, a lot of questions, I think, and a lot of questions which will get answers hopefully in due time. But I think with respect to, at least I don't know if I can say more on the treatment part of it, because I mean, it's, again, like, we don't know much about it. But I will say one thing about Moeen Ali's Test cricket career coming to an end. I don't think I want to say that. I generally don't think so, because Moeen Ali has been a very, very integral part of that Test team. I don't think they're going to let go of him that easily. This particular instance may be a one-off. I see it as a one-off thing. I don't see it as the end of his career. He's still very important to their side. They need him in that 16. England also still have a chance of making that World Test Championship final if they win both the Test matches. So they need somebody in there who can, while he may not be playing the next 2 Test matches, at least they need a guy in there come that final, come that India-England series, to be there and sort of trouble the Indian batsmen, because Moeen Ali has done it. He's troubled India in England on the green pitches. So they're not going to let go of Moeen Ali. I don't see it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, do you think maybe I just finalise with you, Lucy, just on this Moeen topic? He's basically home for about a week, and then he's back for the T20s. Wouldn't it have been better to kind of keep him? Ideally, trying to. Do you think that maybe there's been a push towards the fact that these guys want to play in the IPL? I should be saying, really, and be completely honest, and there's been a little bit of an emphasis on that from the players in maybe the discussions, and that's why they've been made available, like Josh Buttler, for example. Was it in the context of these white ball games? I think someone like Josh Buttler, for example, you could argue should have stayed in the side. You could accommodate still Ben Fox if you needed to, and maybe I feel like there's the Test series is being devalued in place of the white ball games. I mean, I appreciate it's a World Cup end of the year, but Josh Buttler if Josh Buttler doesn't play another game between now and that World Cup, he starts that first match. Facts. That's absolute facts. But he's going home. Moeen Ali, obviously, he's just done so well. It was kept saying dark we knew about the not going home after this. Do you feel there's an element of prioritising this white ball over the Test series?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think as well the IPL helps out cricketers a lot in terms of obviously their money and the experience. And I think England maybe are nudging towards that, I think. And then obviously they've got all these players in the wings, like Ben Foakes for Joss and several others. And I think they're just letting them go, to be honest.
Okay. I'll wrap up there in Moeen Ali. I think we look ahead to the third test, starts a week today. Ahmedabad. The last test they played, I believe, was 2012. So it's obviously some time. England weren't there, I believe, in Ahmedabad 4 years ago. What can we expect from this wicket? Obviously, the day-night match. And what would your team selection be going into this match? Would Bumrah come back into the side? I'll start with you, Aditya.
It's hard to predict what the wicket is going to be like, because the word on the street is that the curators at Ahmedabad, the Motera, have got access to some 17 or 18 different types of soil, so they can actually produce whatever wicket they want to. And this being the first game at that stadium, it's very hard to say. I don't even think the players and the management will know what to expect in the wicket. But I guess what we can have a little bit of certainty on is that because it's played with the pink ball, there has to be a little bit of grass cover on there just to protect the lacquer on the pink ball. But beyond that, I do think I hope Bumrah comes back into the side. It should be a little more seamer friendly. But that said, I think Ashwin is definitely going to have a role to play. But maybe Axar Patel can be swapped for another seamer perhaps. And I believe Umesh Yadav has been slopped into the test team as well.
Yeah.
So
for Shadal Thakur, I believe, in the squad. I mean, could Bumrah come in for Kuldeep, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
Simon, what would your lineup be for the third test?
I believe it will be the same thing. Bumrah coming back in for Kuldeep, and Ishant Sharma or Umesh Yadav, toss up between one of them.
Does Siraj keep his place?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Anurag?
Yeah, so with Akshar's performance, I think it will be very harsh if he's going to drop him. So he'll be accompanying Ashwin as well. But we'll have Bumrah, Ishant and Umesh Yadav in the squad.
Krishna?
I think just the one change. Bumrah comes in for Kuldeep. Maybe they might bring in Mayank Agarwal. I mean, it's a very outside chance.
You love Agarwal. You're a big fan of Agarwal.
I was a big fan of Agarwal 2019. I hope Agarwal 2019 happens in 2021. But of course, it's a long far away. But I think they might just want to give Agarwal a chance. Given that they've given Gill a couple of chances, just rest him for one. Bring him. They might want to do something there. So I think that's the only change I see. But actually, I do want to say a little bit more on the test match itself. I do see that at least like Aditya said, the word on the street is that they can prepare any kind of pitch they want to. But knowing Kohli and knowing Virat's style of captaincy, knowing how he loves to play with fast bowlers, I do expect a pitch in which it'll have a lot for the fast bowlers, maybe a little bit for the spinners. but you have Ashwin who can exploit those conditions. But I definitely do think India will want the curators to prepare a fast bowling pitch, which is why I think England should also, select accordingly. I'll leave that there.
Lucy, we're heading to you on that note. Obviously, if they prepare something a bit more assisting the seamers, that plays into our hands, as far as I'm concerned. If that pitch is prepared, and we see that next Wednesday, what would your bowling attack be?
Definitely Jimmy.
Who for Broad?
Yeah, it's got to be with the new contract deal, haven't it? The age thing.
Is that a contractually obligations though? I don't think it's. I think it's just their policy at the moment they've introduced this year because of COVID and the bubbles and mental welfare and I think also with them their age, just preserve them ready for the end of the year, isn't it? Yeah. Is it? I wasn't sure if it was actually a contractual thing, but you would bring in Anderson for Broad. You would say. Okay, and Chris Wokes, does he get a look in?
No, I'd probably leave Stone where he is.
Okay, you leave Stone. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so and Jofra Archer.
Yeah, I'd probably bring him back actually. Yeah.
Because obviously Moeen's obviously gone home. So the question: do you bring in Best or do you bring in the Seamer?
Yeah, I'd probably bring in Seamer. I'd bring in Joff. Yeah.
So we go Joff, Anderson, stick with Stone, and then Leach as a sole spinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only question mark for that for me would be the tail. If you've got Leach, Anderson, Stone, and who am I saying? I just completely forgot now. You've got obviously quite 8 to 11. Then with Archer's obviously, if Archer's not done anything really in Test cricket, my worry there would be that Archer it's quite exposed, especially against that bowling attack. Because the reality is, India also possess a really potent seam attack. And they can rip out a tail of Anderson, Archer, Leach, etc. Stone. It's whether they throw a caution to win and go for it. Really. What about the batting? Obviously, Johnny Bairstow's now available. Mark Wood's also available. We should mention that as well. Mark Wood's available as well. Lawrence struggled. I think he's thrown to the wolves a little bit personally. Batting at 3. I mentioned that before the test. Would you?
Lawrence struggled as well, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'd probably reassess that top order maybe.
Zach Crawley's available as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely reassess the top order.
Yeah.
Proper back around there. But yeah, I'm happy with my bowlers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting bowling attack. Aditya, I'll just finish with you actually in regards to England's lineup. What would you do with that top order? You've obviously got Bairstow and Crawley available again.
I'd slot Crawley back into the side. I think.
Before.
I think England they need someone to support Root because Sibley's gone well, but Burns hasn't really scored a lot of runs, and the team looks like it's a bit over reliant on Root to score big. The 30s and 40s are coming, but they need someone to score big hundreds, and I feel like Zach Crawley is that guy.
And Johnny Bairstow, averaging, I think, over 44 against spin on the subcontinent.
Yeah, but again, the question is between Bairstow and Foakes, and personally, as keeper, I prefer Foakes. So I don't know if Bairstow would really fit in.
I have a question. I'm not sure if these are validated, but I have a question marks of Ollie Pope. I'm not saying I wouldn't drop him, but I feel like he's played, I think, 13, 14 Test matches now, in just the 1 century. He's coming with really, high praise, and there's a lot of people who think this could be the next best thing. Next Ian Bell, we've heard that many a time. I think he needs to start to score a few, start to turn, well, at least score some solid 50s again. He hasn't really performed in the last 8 to 9 months. He didn't have a great summer last year against the Windies in Pakistan, and hasn't done well in the first 2 Test matches. So I actually have got a couple of eyes on Ollie Pope going into this Test match, because I think you could see potential for the 4th Test anyway, with if Crawley and Bairstow available and they persevere with Lawrence. You might see Ollie Pope taking a rest. I'll have to wait and see. I'm interested to see on that one. I think we'll wrap it up, guys, with a prediction, just quick fire. England or India win, basically, or a draw, if you think. I'll start with you, Lucy.
I'd say, the next Test or the series?
Next Test.
I think if it's a bit of a green wicket, I think it's going England's way. But if it's not, I think it's going India's way.
Anurag?
I think if England get the chance to bowl during the twilight time, I think it's definitely England. The ball's going to swing and they're going to make most of it.
Syed? A sign there. Christian, we'll hop to you.
I predicted a draw.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the toss going to? I don't know. Is the toss going to be really crucial here, as it was in the first test?
At least in my opinion, I mean, was the question directed at me?
Anyone really to help me out? Yeah, I don't really know what to expect here too much.
Okay. At least in my opinion, see, the thing is, it depends on what kind of wicket they prepare. Honestly, yeah, that's all, because we don't know exactly what to expect in terms of a pitch. So whatever we'll only be able to make that call once we get to know the pitch report on the day of the play. So yeah, that's all I can say about that.
Sign, I think you're there now. Just a quick fire prediction on the third test. Oh, see there? That fan's moving awfully slowly. Sign?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just about, mate. Yeah, just saying, what's your prediction for the third test, mate?
I think it's a draw.
Are you going to draw as well? Okay. Aditya?
It's India, mate. We're going to go out swinging.
You know what? I'm going to be confident for once in England and say it's England victory. I actually think this will not be like the second test. I think the pitch will offer something to the seamers from what I've seen and heard. And I think England are going to win this one. I think Anderson's going to come back, raring to go. And I think we'll see a change in the batting lineup as well. I think it's one of Crawley or Bairstow will come in and really short the batting. And I think that, I think the balance of the bowling attack will be better. I think you might see us pulling off victory, which will be really, really. I mean, to be honest with you, if we win this, if we come away with this series with a draw, I don't know what you think, Lucy. That to me is like a victory. If we can win, I mean, I think I saw a stat. We played 19 players in the last 4 tests. I mean, with this rotation policy, you can somehow escape with a draw. And if we win this series, and guys, you don't want to come on that live stream. That's going to be the potpourri. I'm bringing out the bunting and everything, man. That's going to be party time on here. I tell you. Christian, not believing, are you? No.
No. You know why? See, the thing is, in all my rap videos. By the way, if you guys are watching this, go check out my channel, my Instagram right there. But in all my videos, I've been building it up to this World Test Championship final. After every, at least the last 3 videos, I've just been saying World Test Championship final, World Test Championship final, with so much aspirations and hopes for India to make a final in God knows how long of any world event. So if India don't make that, and basically if we lose the next test, if we lose any of the next test matches, it's over. So I don't. If that happens, I'll be very sad. That's all. That's all I can say.
I think the rap review might turn to sad love song review, maybe. Instead.
No, I'm not that cheesy. Come on.
Listen, guys, thanks very much. Where can we find you? We'll start with you, Krishna. You mentioned before.
Yep. So this is my Instagram handle, guys. Follow me on Instagram at Krishna_Kalki_. That's 2 underscores. And also find me on YouTube, Krishna space Kalki, and at Facebook at Krishna the Kalk.
Anurag?
Hey guys, you can find me on Facebook as Anurag Reddy and on Twitter as the obvious Mad Lad.
Fantastic. Sayan?
You can find me on Instagram at Bust Your Nut.
That's the one. I should have ended with that. Bust your nut, guys. Go for it. Go check this guy out. Yo. Lucy?
You're mute.
Mute.
You can find me on Twitter. Change the others.
There we go. No, Lucy, I think you're doing some injustice there. You're also an aspiring writer as well. You've written articles, haven't you, as well? So we'll find you. And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so if you go on my Twitter, there's a link to my own website and a few other websites and magazines I've written for as well.
Yeah. Guys, check that out. It's great articles by Lucy.
And Aditya?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at Aditya U Mehta, and you can find me at Aditya Mehta on Facebook. And I write for Cricket Fanatics magazine, appear on their shows as well. Check them out.
Aditya is a wonderful pundit, guys. I've listened to him for the last 6 months, commenting on all things India, English, South African cricket. I watch him regularly on CFM. He's fantastic. Krishna also has got a wonderful voice. He wants really good entertainment. The mix of music and cricket you don't see very often, so go check him out as well. And Anurag, Lucy, I need to get on Twitter to see you guys a lot more. Bush or not, I'm checking you out, mate. I'm always on Bush or not. So I mean, so it's good stuff now, man. But guys, thanks so much for coming on. We'll reconvene in about 10, 11 days' time now. Obviously, the next test match is not for another week. Yeah. So hope to see you then. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoy the content and see you next time. Cheers.
And guys, also one more thing, just before you leave. Yeah, just before you leave, like the stream, guys. Just press the like button and also subscribe to Uneven Bounce.
Chris is doing my job for me. That's a good guy, you see. How good is that? Like, comment, subscribe. That's the one. Like, comment, subscribe. Cheers, guys. All right. See you next time. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.